In our very first story, the Minister of Defense has urged family of the late Major Adam Maxwell Mahama to exercise patience and allow the law to take its course. According to him, though the wheels of justice seem to be grinding slowly, the law will ensure that those found guilty in the murder of Major Mahama are duly punished. His comments at the sword cutting for the construction of a monument in honor of the fallen soldier follows complaints by the family that just a few of the people found in the video lynching the soldier are facing trial. Joy News' Nancy Emefajiradozi was with the family at the activities to mark the 1 year of the lynching of the soldier and reports.
Earlier on Tuesday, there was a memorial service at the St. Catherine Catholic Church at Bema Camp, where prayers were said for the soul of the departed soldier.
Major Mama was somebody who was so affable that if I see him somewhere, I'll say, why didn't you use your pistol on those, whatever? But he was somebody who would give his life instead of taking somebody's life. He was, well, I think I've said enough. May his soul rest in peace.
Then family and friends gathered at the military cemetery to lay wreaths in remembrance of the fallen soldier. This brought back pain and tears. Even the father of the lynched soldier could not hold back his tears as he broke down midway in an interview with journalists.
Today marks the 1 year. Since 29th May 2017, when he died, it has always been, the pain has always been the same. And today, it's as if it happened even today. We are still in pain, and we pray that justice should take its course until all the mob, all the mob is
Then a sword cutting for the construction of a monument in honor of the late Major Maxwell Mahama to crown activities. This is what the monument to be constructed at the Airport Hills will look like when completed. The monument is to serve as a symbol to end mob justice. Addressing the gathering, Defense Minister Dominic Nitiwul pleaded with the family to exercise patience and let justice take its course.
I would also urge you and the general public to continue to exercise restraint and patience while the judicial process is ongoing. Remember that the wheels of justice grind slowly, but it will catch up with the evildoers.
But father of the slain soldier, Captain Retired Dennis Adam Mahama, says, though he agrees with the defense minister, the suspect's standing trial is not the true reflection of what happened on the fateful day.
We have no option than to actually go by what he's saying. He's right. We just have to be patient. But we cannot say that we are happy with the delay, and especially when the number is just 14 people standing trial out of the mob that was described to us, which numbers over 100 people. The whole village virtually came out. So if some were throwing stones, some even prevented him from escaping. We think that they are all accomplices. An accomplice to a crime is equally guilty. So we expect that all of them should have gotten a number before trial more than this.
Nancy Emefajiradozi.
Well, residents of Dentroboase, where the soldier was lynched, are pleading for Ghanaians to forgive them for that heinous crime. We'll bring you that report later on in the bulletin. But also in the bulletin, President Akufo-Addo has called for cordiality between the special prosecutor and his deputy in dealing with cases of corruption that come before them. Cynthia Lamte, who was sworn in on Tuesday to officially start work, is expected to partner her boss, Martin Emidu, to prosecute corruption cases in the public space and politically exposed private individuals. Presenting the instrument of authority, President Akufo-Addo called on her to dispense her duties without fear of favor, adding government will play its part to ensure the office of the Special Prosecutor lives up to expectation.
An awareness of the task that this appointment has called you to perform. It's a very difficult task. It's unprecedented in our history. Both of you are the pioneers in this work, but your vetting showed clearly that you have a very good understanding of what you're being called upon to do. The issues are known to our country, to the entire Ghanaian polity, the damage that corruption has done to our nation, and that therefore there is the need for us, within the parameters of the rule of law, to find effective instruments for dealing with it. And this is the solution that this government and the people of Ghana have devised, to create this independent, non-partisan office that without ill will or favor, fear or will go ahead and examine, investigate, and if necessary, prosecute public office holders, politically exposed persons for acts of corruption in our country. It's an onerous task, but your history, your background, your own personality tells all of us who have brought you to this point that you should be more than capable of fulfilling the requirements of this office.
Cynthia Lamte, who until her appointment worked as Director of Public Prosecutions, pledged to work with the integrity required of the office.
I will do my work diligently, without fear or favor, to make sure that the task that has been given to me is well done. I also pray and ask for God's wisdom and mercy, that He will give me the strength and wisdom so that I'll be able to go through challenges that might come as a result of my work. And I know the good Lord will do that for us. And then the two of us will sing your popular song. Mr. President, I thank you very much, because it's an honor task for me. I feel elated that out of all the people in Ghana, I should be chosen to do this sort of work. Once again, I thank you and the people of Ghana.
Well, President Akufo-Addo has assured names of persons chosen to serve as Board of Directors of the Office of the Special Prosecutor will soon be submitted to the Council of State for approval. Now, President Akufo-Addo has directed managers of the Microfinance and the Small Loan Center, MASLOC, to grant 50% of its operational loans to women engaged in farming and business. This, according to him, forms part of government's strategy to address hunger, reduce malnutrition, and achieve food security. Launching the Ghana Zero Hunger Strategic Review report, the president said his government is worried about the impact of poor nutrition on children, and is hopeful the strategies identified will scale the resolve to ensure children are properly fed to address stunted growth and food security.
We all appreciate that our women play a key role in achieving food security and improved nutrition. That is why my government has initiated women-specific measures to facilitate the achievement of SDG 2. These include reducing cultural and administrative limitations that impede women's access to productive resources, particularly access to credit and agricultural equipment. The MASLOC program has in this respect been directed to disburse 50% of its loans to women engaged in small-scale farming and businesses. Again, the Ghana School Feeding Program, a happy product of the Kufuor era, which provides hot meals daily to pupils of basic schools, has also been expanded from 4,881 institutions to cover 5,528 institutions in this last year, whilst the Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty, LEAP, which provides stipends to vulnerable households, has been nearly doubled to cover some 213,000 households. All these are being done with SDG 2 in mind.
President Akufo-Addo also announced some interventions to address post-harvest losses.
To ensure food security and promote improved nutrition, government is implementing some interventions, including institutional measures to prevent food losses, such as the district warehousing policy, promoting the production and utilization of locally grown and nutrition-rich food, strengthening early warning and emergency preparedness systems, developing and implementing a nutrition strategy which adopts a life cycle approach to deal with malnutrition at all levels, reviewing and scaling up the regenerative health and nutrition program, eliminating child and adult obesity, and promoting research and development in food and nutrition security.
The RIO report put together by the John Agyekum Kufuor Foundation aims to ensure Ghana achieves a Sustainable Development Goal 2, which encourages the world to end hunger in all its forms by 2030. The research paper presented by Professor Matilda Sena Esiedu and Professor Sa Dito of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology concludes that despite significant reduction in food security, hunger and malnutrition remain a real concern in some parts of Ghana, especially regions in northern and rural Ghana. Former President Kufuor said his foundation will assist government and the United Nations to ensure hunger and malnutrition are eliminated in the country.
I would therefore like to assure my President Akufo-Addo, of my unwavering support in achieving the SDG 2. As indicated in the Compact 2025, agreed in May 2016 in Malawi, African countries target to end hunger and undernutrition by the year 2025. I am hopeful that Ghana will be one of the first countries to meet the 2025 targets ahead of the global target of 2030. As we seek to achieve zero hunger in our country, and I want to repeat, we should always remember that food production must be nutrition. It is more important for food to nourish the body than to simply fill the stomach.
Now we're taking a break here on Joy News Prime, but still ahead in the bulletin, proprietor of medical facility where Deputy CEO of the National Entrepreneurship Innovation Program is said to have died, has been remanded into prison custody after being charged with murder. Hospital records meanwhile contradict claims by mother of the deceased that her daughter did not visit the hospital to perform plastic surgery. And then the Medical and Dental Council has also been reacting to claims that they looked on as unsuspecting members of the public troop to the facility only to lose their lives. And also in the bulletin, the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority board chair has denied allegations he used his office to award contracts to his relatives. We have all that and more coming up. Stay tuned. The TDC Development Company Limited is set to demolish the remainder of the 4 Kaiser flats being pulled down as part of a redevelopment project. Eviction of residents occupying 4 of the flats were eventually carried out in February this year after they were found to have developed structural defects as far back as the 1990s. The 48th Engineers Regiment of the Ghana Armed Forces, contracted to undertake the demolition, have so far demolished 2 of the 4 blocks. Tema correspondent Kwame Yanka has more in this report. We will bring you that story a lot later. Right now, the multinational mining firm Asanko Gold has agreed to resettle Koninase residents in the Amanse West District of the Ashanti region displaced by floods caused by its mining operations. 51 households had their structures destroyed by floods caused by blockades at the company's disposal sites. The victims are, however, unimpressed with the offer from the mining company. Prince Apia has more in this report.
Last year, property worth huge sums of money was washed away as water covered many houses at Koninase. Community leaders and a district assembly petitioned Asanko Mine on the development. After several meetings and negotiations, one of which was held on Monday at Manson Kwanta, stakeholders reached an agreement. It followed completion of investigations and assessment by the Architectural and Engineering Services Limited of extent and cost of damage. Among recommendations, Asanko will construct new houses and renovate damaged buildings, as well as provide proper drainage systems in the community.
It's a 5 points. We say that the DC and the Traditional Council and the Assemblyman should put a moratorium on where the structures are as of the time of investigation. Nobody should continue with it. Then we also recommend that some of the building should be relocated. Some to depending on the individual. If he wants his money, he has to be paid to go and get another land somewhere.
To move forward, we need a properly designed storm drain to take it, because the issue is that even if some of the buildings that we are recommending are to be repaired and the flood situation is not solved, it means that when the flood comes again, those buildings, even though will not be seriously affected, will still be affected by the rain. So we are recommending that even if those buildings, we agree that those buildings are to be repaired, then we strongly recommend that a storm drain should be done over there.
District Chief Executive of Amansia West, William Sasanti Bediako, says the truce eases tension between residents and the mining firm.
But there's a committee that has been put in place today. A 9-member committee is going to make sure that we get to the latter of all the recommendations of the AESR. About 31 houses that were affected. It's been recommended that the company will bear the cost of relocating the people. They're going to build new houses for them, and then those who were building at lintel or foundation level, there's going to be some evaluation of the structures, and then the amount involved paid to the affected people.
Some victims whose houses are earmarked for renovation are dissatisfied at the arrangement. They want all houses reconstructed.
They said they will reconstruct for my neighbors, but mine will be renovated. That I won't agree.
We are happy with the agreement, but the stones they are dumping here is affecting our health. We have agreed with them, but if they don't heed to their promises, we will come at them.
Prince Apia reporting.
Board chairman of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Peter McMahon, has denied allegations of corruption leveled against him by some workers of the authority. The workers said, among others, alleged that Special Team, a travel and tour agency owned by his wife, had been given a contract to undertake travel arrangements for the GPHA. At a news conference Tuesday morning, Mr. McMahon, however, tendered documents he said shows the company in question had a relationship with the authority that predates his chairmanship, and described as an attempt by the workers to defame him the allegation that he's awarded contracts to his children. Ifo Evans Chimri reports.
Peter McMahon, during a heated press briefing, outlined all the allegations leveled against him and says it is painful that such issues had to come up when he's doing his best to help the company and the country. Issues such as his wife taking over ticketing of staff travels and his children getting contracts from the company were all denied by the board chair.
I know that one of them comes to Gapoha for business, for his company, the bank, to come Gapoha to, as it were, put their money in the bank. That's all I know about it. I don't think they have come for any contract. That they are the biggest supplier. Hey! I have 5 children. 3 work at the bank. 1 is a student. I mean, the youngest one has a baby lass. And 1 owns a borehole drilling company. He's in borehole water well drilling company, Western Waterworks. Maybe if GPHA is drilling boreholes, then we could come and bid. So I challenge the union to name any company that deals or has contract with GPHA that belongs to any of my children. And I challenge them on this. Ladies and gentlemen, I have started here. All what I've stated here is the truth and verifiable truth. I'm providing you with the documents to verify. As to why some workers of GPHA will set out to tell those lies about me is a matter I do not know. I have consulted my lawyers anyway, and I reserve the right to pursue legal action against those who have made it very defamatory comments against my personality. Where did the union get its figure that McMenu is directing them, GPHA, to pay $200,000, which they spewed out in Takrady? Why did they get that? For me, all these things I'm saying, I'm going to give you the documentary evidence. The concession between which GPHA has signed with the Tema LNG consortium. I'll provide you the document for you to know the details, whether indeed it is true that GPHA is only taking $200,000 on my orders, as they said in their press statement in Takrady. They also allege that I'm using my position to circumvent procurement process in order to acquire for myself a tugboat, Tema Mine here. Spare parts have been procured to refurbish this tugboat recently. Now let me set the record straight on this too. According to a response to a memo by the procurement manager, no spare parts have been procured to refurbish this tugboat. Indeed, refurbishment of the tugboat was not budgeted for in 2018 budget. Cummins Ghana Limited is the local agent for Cummins engines, so they can find out from them. GPHA has not added anything from Cummins Ghana Limited. The engine on the craft had a technical problem. Cummins Ghana Limited was invited to inspect and submit proposals, which they have not done as I speak.
We return to our earlier story, which has to do with the Tema Development Company Limited set to demolish the remainder of the 4 Kaiser flats being pulled down as part of a redevelopment project. Eviction of residents occupying 4 of the flats were eventually carried out in February this year after they were found to have developed structural defects as far back as the 1990s. The 48th Engineers Regiment of the Ghana Armed Forces contracted to undertake the demolition has so far demolished 2 of the 4 blocks. Tema correspondent Kwame Anka has more on this report.
After several court battles, TDC obtained writ of possession to evict the occupants following judgment delivered by Tema High Court in 2013. However, the eviction was carried out this year after all outstanding issues were dealt with. The entire demolition exercise is expected to take over 3 months. Protocol officer at TDC, Ian Okwe, says the necessary security and safety measures will be put in place to protect residents within the enclave.
We anticipated that there were going to be some complaints from the residents. So what we did on our side from TDC Development Company was to have pre-demolition sensitization thereby with the residents, where issues that came up concerning the dust control and then the noise that will be emanating from the disposal sites were all addressed. As a measure to reduce the dust, we have contracted that of Ghana Fire Service to be on site with their fire tender anytime the demolition is ongoing, so that they will be sprinkling water to bring the dust to the barest minimum.
He also elaborated on plans to dispose the debris after the exercise.
Prior to the demolition, there was a pre-demolition meeting, and that encompasses that of all stakeholders that were going to involve in the demolition. that had to do with EPA, NADMO, and then TMA officials. Also, we had people who were doing service provision at the site, which was ECG, Ghana Water, and then that of Vodafone lines, which were here. Today, we are going with that of the Block 410. So, within a week, we should be done with the major structures, and then we'll come down to the compartment of the concrete areas. And so let's give ourselves a month, and then we'll be able to give a fair assessment of the speed at which the work is ongoing. But then we are way ahead of time.
Electricity and other utilities have been disconnected to avoid exposing men carrying out the demolition and other residents to danger. Kwame Yankes report for Joy News.
We're taking a break here on Joy News Prime to bring you the business news with Emmanuel Abagi. UFA still ahead. We have the story of the proprietor of the medical facility where Deputy CEO of the National Entrepreneurship Innovation Program is said to have died, who has been remanded to prison custody after being charged with murder. We have hospital records contradicting claims by the mother that she did not visit the facility to perform plastic surgery on her body. Stay tuned, we will be back in a bit.
To you and welcome to Business on Joy News Prime. Telecoms giant MTN Ghana is promising to ensure that majority of Ghanaians own part of the business after it launched the initial public offering today. MTN began the process of selling more than 4 billion shares to raise 3.47 billion Ghana cedis. The offer, which began today, is expected to end on July 31. Vice President of MTN in charge of Southern, Eastern Africa and Ghana, Ebenezer Asante, has been explaining to Joy Business why the offer is all about Ghanaians.
Behind this IPO is a huge marketing and distribution vehicle that we've lined up to ensure that we reach all districts, we reach all regions in the shortest possible time, and we will do so in a cycle. So on the average, for most of the key towns, we would want to have permanent representation, service center, connect stores, and all the banks, participating banks, as well as dedicated setups that we also have. And as you are also aware, with the mobile money channel, our customers everywhere can subscribe. I don't want to add too much to the excitement already generated, but I'm aware even during the launch process, a lot of people started buying shares using mobile money, and within a minute you are done. So mobile money, we believe, will be one of the key channels to drive the retail penetration, in addition to the other traditional channels that we will use, the banks, our own service centers, the connect stores, distributor shops, etc., etc.
The regulatory requirement, or one would say the commitment, is to ensure that every Ghanaian takes a bite of this offer. The reality, some have said that looking at the time period, whether every Ghanaian will have the opportunity to be having that disposable income to take a bite of this IPO.
I stand to be corrected, but perhaps this may be one of the IPOs with the longest duration to complete. We are starting today. We'll finish by the end of July 31st at 5 p.m. on the dot. The other advantage, apart from the time that it will afford our customers and many other would-be investors to invest, is also the affordability nature of the shares. It's 75 pesos a share, minimum subscription of 10. So just with 7 cedis, 50 pesos, you are able to buy your lot.
Meanwhile, MTN hopes to finally list on the stock market in September this year. Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta says he will encourage more multinationals to list on the local burs.
Pervasive and cuts across, and that I think is going to draw in a lot more Ghanaians to participate on the exchange, which is important, because I think the concept of investing and building fortune for the future is good. And getting more people invested in the capital markets also helps with attracting foreign investors to believe that there's liquidity in our market, and therefore they will participate.
One critical thing is about the waivers. For most of these multinationals and even other local companies, they want to go into the market. But a challenge is about the requirements and the other issues about taxes as well. What's the level of commitment that you want to give to these companies who want to come onto the market?
But I'm not sure that there's a disincentive to come to the market. I mean, there's a tax break which is there, and that's important. I'm not sure. I think really companies like MTN listing always begins to broaden the base of the exchange, gives more legitimacy, and people who were either cynical or unsure are now going to take a second look at it, and we will encourage that to happen.
And away from that, illegal trading of petroleum products and smuggling resulted in an estimated loss of 1.4 billion cedis to the state in 2017. That's according to the industry report released by the Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors. The report, which looks at developments in the industry for the entire year, indicates the nefarious activities involved evading taxes and other revenues meant for the state, which contributed significantly to revenue leakages. Here's Ebenezer Sabute's report.
According to the industry report for 2017, Ghana recorded a significant loss as a result of transfer pricing modules with the bulk oil distributors. The report says the issue of the illegal trade of export products, smuggling and dumping has also resulted in some losses to both the government and the various operators in the petroleum downstream sector. It puts the estimated loss for the year 2017 in taxes and regulatory margins to the state at a whopping 1.4 billion cedis. This indicates a 64.71% increase in revenue loss from the National Petroleum Authority. Chief Executive of the Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors Ghana, Senyu Hosi, believes it is about time the state security operatives intervened to deal with the situation.
I will also indicate that transfer pricing also made the government lose some money of about 148 million, and the smuggling and export dumping 1.4 billion cedis. These are very serious numbers, and it has major implications on the country. There's too much money to lose, and I don't think that it's too difficult for us to find a number of the culprits related to it. So we think that there should be a proper audit into it. We should be able to find and identify where our money is passed and account for them. It's as simple as that. What's been generally missing, like I said, has been the political will. I mean, across the political divide, NDC, MPP, none of them have really shown strong enough political will. You find agencies like the MP, the ministry trying, but to deal with this, it's not just an agency and it's not a regulator and a ministry matter. This is borders on criminality.
National Coordinator for the Oil Marketing Companies, Kweku Ajimandria, has been explaining to Joy Business the impact of these developments on the downstream petroleum sector.
I mean, if you look at the industry used to grow like 3-4% every year. In fact, 2015 was about the best. Since 2015 coming 2016, 2017, we have been going down now. But you see, like 2016, 2017, we lost like 6%. The question is, and if you have 6% loss in this industry, what it means is that there should be scarcity of fuel in certain areas. But here where there were no scarcity, I mean somebody is filling in, and that's the illegal fuel.
So have you investigated it yourself?
Oh, investigated, yes. So we've done a lot of work. Remember last year, 2nd May, we came out with a press conference, and the ministries, the government took it up and was working on them. They did very well. Somewhere along the line, we saw that our volume per retail was coming up. Until getting to the end of the year, we saw that it was going down again.
The situation is said to be very alarming and suggestive of high-level corruption and tax evasion in the country.
In other news, mining firm Gold Fields has started implementing its new business module, which allows it to outsource majority of its mining staff. It follows an agreement reached with the union workers after a long disagreement over the implementation of its contract mining program, which resulted in some strikes. Speaking with Joy Business after its 25th anniversary launch, Executive Vice President of Gold Fields Ghana, Alfred Bako, said the workers have withdrawn the case from court, paving way to implement the program.
Staff of Goldfields initially resisted moves by the company to transform its business model from ownership to contract mining due to issues of sustainability faced by the firm. The move was also attributed to the unstable gold price on the international market, which is likely to threaten the mines. Executive Vice President Alfred Bako says Goldfields successfully commenced contract mining operations in April this year after the union decided to withdraw the case it filed at the High Court, preventing it to go ahead with the model. He noted about 85% of the staff were hired by the outsourced company.
Thankfully, the union have gone to withdraw the matter from court, so I will say the case is over. We have implemented the contractor mining at Tarkwa, and the contractors, as we promised, has actually rehired over 85% of our workforce that were affected. We had a brilliant start to the contractor mining. The first month, which was the April month, was brilliant. We exceeded the budget in terms of production. That tells you that, in fact, site has been calm, the workers has actually received it positively, and everything is going on smoothly.
Alfred Bako dismissed claims that the company intimidated staff during the impasse.
We couldn't intimidate anybody. We believe that we have a business to run, and the business to run is all about sustainability. We didn't actually see the way forward with the previous model because it wasn't sustainable, and therefore the call for changing the model. That question must be directed at the union, but we don't believe that we threaten them in any way or form, because we press it on them that we were doing contractor mining before, and we reviewed the model and we realized that it was actually worth going on a mining, and we've reviewed the model again, and we believe that that is the way to go.
After 25 years of operation, Goldfields paid $1 billion as dividends to the government, an additional $1.2 billion paid as taxes.
That's all in business on the news tonight. Thank you so much for making a date. My name is Emmanuel Apuachi Viafi. There's more news ahead. Don't go away.
Now, the director of the Advanced Body Sculpt Center, otherwise known as the Obingfo Hospital, has been charged with murder in the death of the Deputy CEO of the National Entrepreneurship Innovation Program. Dr. Dominic Obeng-Ando was denied bail despite pleas from his lawyers that he was unwell. Dr. Obeng-Ando and a cleaner at his facility who was charged with impersonation had to reappear on June 15, 2018. Joining us is Matilda Vomega was in court, and has details in this report.
A pale-looking Dr. Dominic Obeng-Ando of the Obingfo Hospital appeared at the Magistrate Court 8 on Tuesday, aided by a doctor from a hospital in Accra, where he has been receiving medical treatment after his arrest. It's been barely a day since he was arrested for his role in what many have described as mysterious, the death of the Deputy CEO of the NEIP at his hospital. Dr. Obeng-Ando, who is the first accused, was formally charged with murder in accordance with Section 46 of the Criminal Offences Act. The second accused, Edward Amponsa, a cleaner at the Obingfo Hospital, was reported to have lied to officials at the St. Gregory Hospital that the deceased was his sister, as they insisted on the presence of a family before the body could be lodged at their morgue. He was charged with impersonation in accordance with Section 134 of the Criminal Offences Act. The two were picked up on May 24, 2018, after an official report was made by the deceased mother. According to Detective Chief Inspector Simon Aporsonu, the deceased, Stacey Ofe Dakun, went to the Obingfo Hospital on May 20, 2018 for liposuction and fat transfer surgery. She, however, died midway after being admitted for a while on May 21, 2018. Until now, it was unclear what exactly the late Stacey Dakun had gone to do at the Obingfo Hospital. Dr. Obeng-Ando, together with Edward Amponsa, the cleaner, prepared her body for the morgue without notifying her family of her death. 3 different hospitals are said to have rejected the body as they could not prove the presence of a relative. At the St. Gregory Hospital at Bujumbura, the body was accepted into the morgue. The body was accepted into the morgue because the cleaner posed as an elder brother to the deceased. The family of the deceased knew about her death on May 24, after which they filed an official complaint with the police, leading to the arrest of Dr. Obeng Ando. Both the doctor and the cleaner were picked up, but the doctor is said to have fallen ill on Friday and has been on admission at the hospital since. He has been remanded in police custody after he was denied bail. He is to be in hospital and assist the police with investigations into the matter. For Joy News, Matilda Pamaga, Accra.
Meanwhile, mother of Stacey Ofe-Darko says her daughter's death should be the last at the Obingfo Hospital. The deputy CEO of the NEIP is just one of several patients who have lost their lives under questionable circumstances, having gone to the facility located at Weija for body sculpting surgeries. Speaking to Joy News from the family home here in Accra, Nana Akosua Enima I vowed not to let the death of her daughter be in vain, adding that she will do whatever it takes to ensure justice is served. Anodami has more.
Nana Akosua Enima I last saw her daughter in January this year after Stacey did a complete home makeover for her. The family had planned a reunion next month before Stacey travels abroad to further her education. Stacey, according to family sources, has a busy schedule, juggling between schooling at Gimpa and working as Deputy CEO of the National Entrepreneurship Innovation Plan, NEIP. Nana Akosua I, who says she never knew about Dr. Dominic Obeng Ando or his hospital, tells me she will ensure the facility ceases to operate for allegedly killing her breadwinner.
He told
me she died on Monday dawn. So he's been waiting for a relative to call so they inform them of the death. He also says she's been embalmed at the morgue at Bujumbura. I wondered why he took that act without informing us, and he said he did so because he thought the body will decompose. As for Dr. Obingfo, may the Lord deal with him. His actions have cost me so much, and I'm not going to take this lightly. If I wasn't a law-abiding citizen, I would have brought the hospital to ashes by now. He's really worried me, and I just won't let this go. She's beautiful and does not need anybody's sculpting. Those saying she went there to enhance her body are just saying untruths.
Doctor no kreni nyame anim de enya de a obefa ne ho adi kwan biara so de say Yehowa tiase de enya de a waso ansuo na obeso ansa.
Brother of the deceased, Eric Ofe-Labi, still in shock, told me he believes the death of his sister is a dream and he will soon wake up to see her and share secrets as they used to do.
No, it's a dream. I'm dreaming. It's not real, no. Because I remember the last time I went there, we were sitting and I was like, do you remember Ebony when she was in the freezer? Like, do you recall that? So one day are we going to be like that? And she asked, if I die, will you cry?
She did ask you that.
It's a cliche. Yeah. I didn't take water, no food for 5 solid days. Up to now, I'm still even thinking. If I think maybe it's a dream, I still feel it's a dream.
I visited the Obingfo Hospital at Weija, which is still under construction, but it was under lock and key.
It's closed, and I see absolutely no one here except a few cars that are parked here. I don't see anyone around, not even a caretaker, and the hospital seems to be under construction. In fact, I see up there a warning by the Gan West District Assembly to stop work, and this was written here on the 8th of September 2010. This is where 37-year-old Stacey took her last breath. She's not the first. Joy News' investigation also revealed some time back some of the casualties that take place here. In 2016, we are told by the Medical and Dental Council that Dr. Obenfo had to renew his license before he could operate. That has not been done, but the hospital was operational. And that's how come Stacy got in here and took her last breath. We are also told by the Medical and Dental Council that this is the third time that this hospital is being closed. As you can see, a lot of people coming here for advanced body sculpting. You can see the before and after pictures. Yet, we are told Dr. Obeng does not have the license to operate. For Joy News, my name is Hannah Odame.
Meanwhile, the Registrar and CEO of the Medical and Dental Council, Dr. Eli Atiku, says the Dr. Dominic Obeng Ando was not licensed to practice at the Accra's Obeng Hospital during the untimely death of Stacy Ofedako.
I would wish I was silent on this particular issue because the case is with the police, and I am sure during your investigations you may have noted that that particular institution was closed down on 2 occasions and it was reopened. And then that case is currently with the police and they are doing their investigations as to why the institution should be reopened without recourse to the provisions or without recourse to the laws of the nation.
But they operated in those times that we were waiting for the police to finish investigations?
Pardon?
I'm saying that the hospital was operating at the time and people's lives were in danger whilst the police was investigating.
Yeah, you see, the issue is that the Medical and Dental Council took certain actions based on some information that we had received. And for that action to be legalized, we really had invited the police to come in. So eventually, with the closure of that particular institution, we did that in conjunction with the police for them to be able to do their investigations. I do know that the institution was reopened, whether legally or illegally, and then again we had closed it. We had caused that institution to be closed a second time, and it was reopened. And as I'm saying, that case is still in court and for the final determination as to why an institution which was closed down by a regulator should be reopened without recourse to the provisions in the law.
We're taking a break here now on Joy News Prime to Radio Showbiz station. Residents of New Obuasi, formerly Dentro Obuasi, in the Central Region are appealing for forgiveness from Ghanaians 1 year after a mob lynched a military officer in the town. They want late Major Maxwell Adam Mahama's family in particular to forgive and grant them clemency for what they say was an accident which has cost them a lot. Members of the community have been commemorating 1 year of the passing of then Captain Mahama, who was promoted posthumously to the rank of Major. My colleague Ohiming Teria, who has been on the beat since last year, reports residents observed the occasion in grief, promising never to repeat such a mistake.
It was in solemn mood as Chief Linguist Nana Kwabena Asare and some elders proceeded to the spot where Major Mahama was killed to pour libation. There was also a special service just about the time of the day the incident occurred on May 29 last year. An emotional Nana Asare called on the spirits of the land to intercede on their behalf as they pleaded for forgiveness.
Nyankopon somu mayan asase ya won somu mayan ma asam nkoduru amansan nyinada sanse bo aseman yente sa na san na atoye na de asibiara no.
The people of Obuasi are not bad people. We should be pardoned for accidentally murdering the soldier. We pray for long life and prosperity for the children, wife and the entire family. We ask for forgiveness from them.
Said yes no esro
it's like collecting an egg that has crashed on the ground. Nothing will bring Major Mahama back to life. We plead with the family, wife and children to forgive Obuasimai. Our actions have caused them so much pain. We are paying dearly for our actions. For fear of being assaulted by the soldiers, many of our people have fled. Nananom, come for drink. Our rivers, come to our aid and help us. We pledge this will not repeat itself. At least, we have seen the effect of our actions. His call for pardon was re-echoed by acting assemblyman Samson Akumenin as residents gathered for the rise.
Yeyina yajitum say ankoye ye kwoswa sre ebusia wo mode sre eto wo yensem.
We admit our guilt. We will continue to plead with Major Mahama's family and the entire nation to forgive us. The people of New Obuasi cannot stop asking for forgiveness. For us as people, I implore each of us to live as individuals who seek forgiveness. We should live in harmony as one people. From New Obuasi in the Upper Dencha West District of the Central Region for Joy News, Ohimi Interior reporting.
The General Secretary of the Textile, Garment and Leather Employees Union, Abraham Kunting, is warning the Trade Ministry to stop recycling promises and begin to fulfill them. Mr. Kumsing, who says he is appalled by the posture of the Trade Ministry about the collapsing textile industry, says government has reneged on several promises to the union only to rehash and present them as new ideas. The union, he says, will power pressure on government until it appropriately addresses its concerns.
We heard him give promises. The tax stamp, the restriction of imports, then the task force going into the market to go into, and that is good. But you know, these promises are becoming too many. And we know that because of the threat of the coalition of the textile workers to picket at the presidency, he feels he has to quickly come do something. So what we are going to do, if it will mean that every week we have to remind him of that promises, we will do it. And we will seek media's support to let the minister and the government know that this time around we will not take their promises. It's becoming too much. They recycle promises and they continue doing that. We will not tolerate that. And they have given 1st September for the operations of the task force. And that is what we are going to keep reminding him. If every week we do it.
Deputy Transport Minister Daniel Titus Glover has cautioned preachers and persons who sell drugs in commercial vehicles to stop distracting the drivers. Speaking at the launch of an event to award drivers who ensure safety on the roads, Mr. Glover posited the activities of some preachers and drug sellers in vehicles also contributes to the number of road crashes recorded across the country.
Statistics of road accidents in Ghana is alarming, with fatality rates being one of the highest in the sub-region. Road Safety Commission statistics reveal most victims are within the productive age of 16 and 45 years. Deputy Transport Minister Titus Glover wants drivers to disallow preachers and drug peddlers from joining their vehicles as their action distracts them.
Those drug peddlers who comes into the vehicles to market their products, I'm not against it. Before the driver moves, if you want to market, you see the union executive and approval is given to you, you do the marketing before the driver departs. Immediately he sets off, you don't need to, because you distract. The driver must focus. He needs that attention to drive his passengers safely to their destination. And those who are preaching, when the driver is going, sometimes they will not even tell you they are preacher men or women. They'll be sitting in the vehicle quietly. Some few distance away, then they rise on their feet. And the way religiously Ghanaians we are, immediately you start talking about Christ. Definitely you bash. But immediately the driver is on the move, he needs full concentration behind the wheels.
Speaking at the launch, Mr. Glover said those who exhibit excellent road safety regulations will be recognized at the Ghana Driver and Road Safety Awards scheduled for Friday, November 23, 2018. The award is a collaboration between the National Road Safety Commission and Shinkani Ghana Limited. Board Chair of Shinkani Ghana Limited, Karel Sewa Donko, revealed the overall winner will receive a brand new Suzuki Alto.
Drivers will be rewarded for defensive driving, knowledge of and compliance with driving regulations, driving skill and expertise, customer service, driving innovation, driving leadership, and overall professionalism. The grand prize for the overall best driver is a brand new car. Besides that, we would give out television sets and several other prizes, as well as CPD training modules for the drivers.
Beginning next week, students from secondary schools across the country will converge in Accra for this year's National Science and Math Quiz. 108 schools which have qualified from the regional contest will join 27 others which were seeded from last year for the preliminary stages. As part of Joy News' special coverage of the 2018 competition, we profile schools which qualified from the Ashanti regional competition. Correspondent Kwesi Debra has the following report.
A series of clues.
The 5-day regional contest began with Tepa, Collins and Mansman Senior High Schools in tough group.
Which has an answer must.
Tepa SHS contestants led by Miss Eunice Appiah looked physically young but displayed mature brains.
Into the final round.
In an encounter that was anticipated to be uncompromising, they made light work of the opponent by leading right from the first round.
I am factorize x squared y squared minus 16xy plus 64.
xy minus 8 all squared.
That's right. Negative.
It's false. Yes. Opokwari School, who suffered a setback in last year's competition, made light work of St. Joseph's Junior Seminary, a new entrance, Namon Senior High School.
St. Joseph, your circle. X squared plus y squared plus 10x minus 8y minus 8 equals 0.
And that is negative 5, 4, and the radius is 7.
Again.
The center is negative 5, 4, and the radius is 7.
That's correct.
Though St. Joseph's seemed initial border in the first round, the Santasa boys held their own to emerge winners.
At the end of the contest, Namon SHTS has 3 points. St. Joseph Seminary stroke SHS has 11 points. And Opokwari School has 57 points.
Besides title holders, Prempeh College, Ashanti region can bank on the likes of Tepa SHS to dazzle at this year's National Science and Maths Quiz. Reporting for Joy News, Kwesi Debra.
The minority in Parliament is threatening to sue government over what it describes as the illegal transfer of all revenue into funding of its flagship free senior high school program. MP for Ejumako Enyan Isiam constituency and minority spokesperson on finance Castle Atuforcing said the transfer by government to the diversion of the petroleum fund contravenes the Petroleum Management Act. Mr. Fortin believes the move by government is crippling other sectors of the economy. He was reacting to the report presented by Chair of the Finance Committee on the utilization of petroleum revenue from January to September 2017.
In the report, and this is the report signed by Ken Ofori-Atta, I will point you to section 20, page 26. It says here that physical infrastructure, an amount of 202 million has been spent on physical infrastructure. That is a lie, complete lie. And you've seen how they've couched physical infrastructure and service delivery in education, as if physical infrastructure is what is leading. So it looks as if 202 million was spent on physical infrastructure. That is not the case. Let me also point you to the same paragraph, the same page, paragraph 68, and let me read it. It said the total expenditure on physical infrastructure and service delivery in education amounted to 202 million Ghana cedis. The amount is made up of 196.38 million paid to support the implementation of government-free senior high school, that infrastructure, and 6 million Ghana cedis paid to the scholarship secretariat in respect of scholarship claims. So the two, everything is going to free senior high school and some small amount going into scholarship. Somebody is tactically breaching the Petroleum Revenue Management Act and the principles that it was established. Because you see where the money is going to. The money is going into free senior high school. If government thinks that they are going to use the oil revenue for the purposes of funding free senior high school, so be it. We encourage them to come to Parliament and immediately amend PFM. Petroleum Revenue Management Act. Immediately, they should come and amend it, because that is where the money is going to go. It's now going. That is the trend that we have seen. But until then, it's a clear breach of the law, and I'm going to take them on. How? I'm going to take them on. No, we are going to go to court to compel the finance minister to stick to the principles of the Petroleum Revenue Management Act as passed by Parliament. So he cannot, on his own, circumvent an act of Parliament. That is not good governance.
When should we expect you in court?
No, in the coming days, we are speaking to the lawyers. The minority is interested in the matter, and I speak for the minority, and we are going to act accordingly.
Well, the MP for Tamale Central, Alhaji Yusuf Hussaini, says he will file a question on the floor to compel the Minister of Finance, Ken Ofori-Atta, to furnish the House with a detailed breakdown of the utilization of the petroleum revenue.
When we were passing the Petroleum Revenue Management Act, we included in the act the establishment of the Public Interest and Accountability Committee. Yeah. Now, PIAC must not only be interested in going around and looking at the fiscal infrastructure that has been delivered through the utilization of petroleum revenue. That could be misleading. Why? Because if in 2017, 376,620,676 was allocated to the Ministry of Roads, it presupposes that this was the amount that was to be used on certain roads in Ghana. And if only 34 million was released, PIAC might have a list of roads that were going to be affected by this initial amount, but the monies were not released, so those roads will not be existent.
So as I mentioned, beyond this lamentation, what next for you?
Beyond this lamentation, first of all, I'm going to call the minister. I'm going to file a motion. I'm going to file a question, calling upon the minister to give us a breakdown, comprehensive breakdown, because this is from January to September, comprehensive breakdown of the utilization of the petroleum resources or revenue from January 2017 to December 2017. So that we need to hold government accountable in the utilization of our petroleum revenue, because it's a finite resource. And if we can track and benchmark the utilization of the resources, then what we all fear will come to pass.
And in the headlines, proprietor of medical facility where Deputy CEO of the National Entrepreneurship Innovation Program is said to have died has been remanded into prison custody after being charged with murder. Hospital records, meanwhile, contradict claims by mother of the deceased that her daughter did not visit the hospital perform plastic surgery. The Medical and Dental Council has also been reacting to claims that they looked on as unsuspecting members of the public trooped to the facility only to lose their lives. The Defense Minister has urged family of the soldier lynched at Dencho Boase to exercise restraint and allow the law to take its course. The appeal comes as the family observes the first anniversary of his death and the unveiling of a monument in his honor. President Akufo-Addo has called for cordiality between the Deputy Special Prosecutor Cynthia Lamte and her boss as she is sworn in to begin work. In business, MTN promises to ensure majority of Ghanaians own a stake in the business after launch of its initial public offering to raise 3.47 billion Ghana cedis. And Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority Board Chair denies allegations he used his office to award contracts to his relatives.